Play fake on first down. Lagway launching downfield, has a man. Touchdown!
Blitz coming off the edge. Dart under pressure. Down he goes.
I'm ready to go play. Let's play our best football.
What's going on, guys? It's Logan and EJ, man. Welcome back to SwampCast. Y'all know what's up, baby. Man, it's, I don't know if you guys, if any of you guys saw the live that we did. Of course, Billy Napier getting fired on Sunday. We came out and on, I believe, we did it on Sunday. You were flying back to San Diego because we went to the game. We were in the Swamp this past Saturday against Mississippi State, which of course we'll get into that. And EJ was flying back to California, back to San Diego, baby. And I was like, yo, we just got the news. Let's try to hop on and do a live. And this man, right before we boarded, hopped on and we did a live from his phone on Zoom. So go check that out for our instant reaction to Billy Napier getting fired. But we had a game this week in EJ, Mississippi State. We came down. I really appreciate you, man, for getting me out to the tailgate, getting me out to the game. It was a phenomenal time. Me and my boy Cassidy came out, and it was great, man. Always fun to be in the Swamp, even when the tensions are high, and when you know that a firing is in a minute. It was still great. Sold out games, 16 sold out games in a row now in the Swamp for the Florida Gators, which is unbelievable, especially just where the state of the program is. But I think everyone knew it's probably going to be Billy Napier's last game. And that's what it turned out to be, man, as we got the news on Sunday. So let's dive into this Mississippi State game. Obviously we're just going to, kind of give our own little, 2 cents on it. And we'll get to all the juicy stuff in a little bit because we're going to be diving into Billy Napier getting fired, who, the press conference that just came out, I believe yesterday that I watched, which was Billy Gonzalez going up and Scott Strickland as well, kind of just some points there I want to hit. And then we'll give our top 5 coaches, or at least the 4 coaches in our honorable mention that we think should replace Billy Napier and be the next head coach at the University of Florida. So we're going to get all that and, of course, make our Week 9 picks. I think we're on now Week 9, which is unbelievable. So let's go ahead and get started, man. Mississippi State came into the Swamp for the first time since 2010, I believe, right? And come in for homecoming weekend, man. We have the throwbacks, which are some of my favorite uniforms. EJ, I don't know about you. I love them. 4-2 Mississippi State comes in, and the Gators get a dub 23-21 in the most Billy Napier fashion ever. Most Billy Napier win of all time. Literally his first game as a Gator and his last game as a Gator football coach ended the same exact way, with the fact that the team could have gone for a field goal and won it, and then they get an interception there late, of course, going back to Utah with Bernie, and now here with Burrow. So literally kind of ended the exact same way, which was unreal. Just the pop and the crowd at the Swamp was unreal. A pretty fun game here. Overall, Blake Shapen for Mississippi State was throwing the ball all over the field and honestly should have completed a lot more passes. There was open guys down the field all game for Mississippi State, mostly because there's a lot of injuries for this Gator defense and even more that happened throughout the game in Denson. Who else got hurt? Denson and Devin Moore, right? Was it Moore out?
Did Devin Moore get hurt?
Was it Moore? There was another.
I know BB3 at wide receiver got hurt, and
there was another corner that got injured throughout. I can't remember what it was.
Castell didn't play; he was hurt.
Castell didn't play. Cromani was injured, but I feel like
Cromani didn't play.
I mean, dude, we literally had like 4, I believe 3 or 4 true freshmen out on this defense and in the secondary of this game. So they played a pretty good game, honestly, with that being the kind of the forefront story there, especially against a Jeff Lebby offense. But they did find success down the field. Brennan Thompson, of course, number 0, their best receiver, had an absolute great game. We talked about that, but a few explosive plays there with Evans and with Thompson in the passing game. They did a pretty good job running the ball as well. We just kind of played that too high. Because even if Ron Roberts wanted to play aggressive, right, EJ, you really can't because you have all these freshmen in the secondary, and you have, of course, Allen back there who did a good job in the run fit, but not great in the pass at all. So you have, like I said, a bunch of these true freshmen in here at corner. And so you can't not play it too high because these guys are getting burned every play. You got to have someone over the top. But when you do that, of course, you leave a pretty light box there, especially with how Levy likes to spread out the field and not do bunch formations, unlike someone that we know. So that obviously makes it very hard to defend both the pass and the run, specifically the run in that situation. And so Booth had a pretty nice game, and even Gayton there, both averaging over 4.5 yards a carry, with a few longs of over 10 yards rushing. So, really good game by this Mississippi State offense here against this Gator defense. EJ, anything specific there that you want to get into with this Mississippi State offense against this defense?
So Sharif Denson and Devin Moore did get hurt against Mississippi State, which is just tumultuous, right? We're already pretty much the entire secondary is hurt. So, or the entire starting secondary, because we already lost Johnson. Kermani McLean didn't play. Castell is out. Now you lose Denson. Now you lose Devin Moore. So you're playing pretty much all true freshmen. And it's a miracle we only gave up 21 points to Mississippi State. Oh, by the way, Mississippi State, I think we had 4 sacks in this game, which we talked about that being a key is to get the pressure because the Mississippi State tackles are not that good. But, we were down several players on the defensive line as well. So, it does show that we have some depth, but we are really crossing our fingers and hoping that these guys can come back healthy, for the Georgia game. But in terms of, just overall performance in this game, our defense, Mississippi State has that no huddle, quick passing game with Shapen. He can also scramble and get yards. They're not really a power running team, which thank God, because if they were also a power running team with the quick passing game that Levy installs, it would have been a significant issue for us. And they did outgain us largely because of 2 very long drives, resulting in about 140 yards of offense in the fourth quarter, which almost was another Billy Napier meltdown. Very similar to the USF game. But we were able to hold on, and Michael Barrow was the hero. So there you go.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, of course, the tackle for losses in this game, too. 11 for this Florida Gator defense. So those guys really stood strong, and I totally agree, EJ. I mean, the fact that with how much we were kind of struggling there when it came to personnel and kind of the cards that we were dealt, we did a really good job holding them at 21 points, and a lot of that had to do with the pressure that we were getting on Blake Shapen, because there was guys open down the field the entire game, and we were talking about it, EJ, while we were sitting there in the crowd, because we sat I think a south end zone, and so we were able to really see what Blake Shapen's seeing. So we're like, oh, there goes zero. Zero's wide open, and they somehow just couldn't convert on some of those. So a little bit of luck, mixed with some good play was nice. Brian Taylor also, by the way, there's like 3 weeks in a row now where this guy's been dominating, been playing really good ball. Actually, no, not Texas A&M game, but the game before that one, and he's been the Texas game, and so he's been doing really, really well these past couple weeks, man. So shout out to Brian Taylor for really stepping up, and Ben Hanks, of course, freshman corner coming in, played well in that stance. Like I said, Alfonso Allen did a good job coming in, getting 8 solos and 15 total tackles. So he did a really good job in run fit, like I was saying. But of course, we did suffer a little bit in the pass game. But with that to the side, let's go ahead and get into this. Is there anything else you want to talk about with this Florida Gator defense, EJ? I don't think there's too much preference on.
Yeah, we did good for who we had to play out there, but other than that, not too much to write home about.
There you go. All right, let's get into this Florida Gator offense versus the Mississippi State defense, CJ. I'll let you take this one over.
Yeah, so offensively, obviously, when you look at one of the frustrations that we have with Billy Napier, it's, well, let's go back to the Urban Meyer days really quickly. What was Urban Meyer's philosophy on offense? Get your best players the ball in space. So when you watch the national championship teams, you never had to worry about getting the ball to Percy Harvin, throwing the ball to Riley Cooper, throwing the ball to Lewis Murphy, handing the ball off to Rainey and Demps, and getting these guys the ball in space repeatedly. With Billy Napier, it's you don't create space because his offense is very condensed. And you and I looked at the field and we saw the entire Mississippi State defense within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage because they completely disrespected our ability to spread the defense out to create natural one-on-one space opportunities. We have no ability to do that with our formations, and they did not trust that DJ Lagway would be able to throw the ball deep. Now he did have a couple of long passes, one to VB3, who ended up getting hurt, which contributed again to Mississippi State saying, "Oh, VB3 is not in the game. Everybody at the line of scrimmage." And I think they, even with that philosophy, Jaden Baugh again runs for a career high 150 yards, which he could have got the ball 10 or to 15 more times if you ask me. But our highest rated offensive players in this game were Aiden Mizell, Vernell Brown, and Jaden Baugh. And when you look at Aiden Mizell, he had a total of what is this 10 snap counts in the game out of 71 total snaps. So your highest rated player in the game was only in for 15% of your snaps. It doesn't make any sense. Now, Vernell Brown was in for 38 snaps. He did get hurt, so there you go. And Jaden Ball was in there for 60 snaps. I don't know if it's Aiden Mizell is hurt most of the time, but he had one pass where we threw it to him on a quick little out route. He made a couple guys miss, and it looked like he was about to take it to the house. Maybe he got hurt. I don't know. Maybe he's just another fragile guy. Dallas Wilson got 50 snaps out of 71 in this game. We did not target him nearly enough in this game. Um, and Eugene Wilson again. Um, I I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he's hurt. I mean, I don't know what the philosophy is. Um, Hayden Hansen also is another guy that continues to get a lot of attention because he's playing a lot of snaps. I think he played he's in there for 42 snaps, so that's a significant amount. But we do not put pressure on defenses by spreading people out and having our elite wide receivers go one-on-one and really testing the ability of the defenders. I think there were also two passes that were both intercepted, one on a pass to Hayden Hansen over the middle, and another pass intended for Sturdivant right before half that were intercepted by Mississippi State because Lagway was late throwing the pass. Um, those both of the players broke wide open, but Lagway threw the ball about 2-3 seconds too late, allowing for the defense to kind of recover. And if you go back and you take away at least one of those, maybe we were able to score, especially the Hayden Hansen, because we were kind of rolling down the field. If we're able to score on either of those plays, maybe we put the game a little bit out of reach. But overall, um, you can't really call for a Billy Napier offense to score more than what we did. I think I predicted us to score 34 points. I was stupid for that. Based on the yards per play that we gained, um, we had, what is it, 71 plays, 453 yards. That's 8 yards, a pass attempt, 5.2 yards a rush. These are the statistical profiles of you're scoring in the mid 30s, you're scoring in the low 40s. You picked up two turnovers, a fumble, and I think Well, the interception came last, the last play of the game. So, maybe you're not scoring off of that. But the fact that we only score 23 points off of 7, 8 yards per play is pretty terrible offensive coordination. So hopefully we'll see some differences with that moving forward with our new offensive scheme that we'll be installing. But overall, it was what it was. Well, I think you're on mute.
Oops, sorry. Hear me now? Yep, we're good.
Yes.
Yeah, so my key on defense was hold them under 3.5 yards a carry. We did that. We held them to 3.3 on offense. Mine was get over 5 yards a carry. Jaden Ball himself got 6.5, and the whole team is at 5.1. So yeah, no, both of my keys hit, which is usually a sign for success there. And yeah, EJ, you had 34-23. I had 23-13. So I picked the right score for the Gators, not the right score for Mississippi State. Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely a lot of missed opportunity. Jaden Ball should have, really had another, 30 yards based off that one big run that got called back. So he had one hell of a day, even getting a big run called. He should be close to 200, honestly, at that point. So yeah, I agree. DJ Lagway throwing those 2 picks, specifically the one to Hayden Hansen, man. You had him open, and instead of looking off the safety, he just stared Hayden Hansen down. Safety read him like a book, right? And then, of course, you have, the 3rd and 1 that the Gators or that Billy Napier specifically decided not to, run, and he decided to do his little rolled out flood concept that he loves to do, right? Guess what happens there? Well, since it's either that or it's curl routes. He does like these little hitches right at the sticks, right? And so, Billy Napier was like, oh, well, it was open on the previous play. Yeah, but it doesn't mean when you're averaging 6.5 yards a carry, even if there's an 8-man box and you have Jaden Ball that's having a great day, run it. There's been games where Jaden Ball's only been averaging 2.3 yards a carry, right? In that point, would I run the ball? Maybe not, right? I don't know. He doesn't have the momentum on his side. He has the momentum on his side, man. He's supposed to have close to 200 yards at that point. You need to run the ball up the middle. Your offensive line's done a pretty good job run blocking. Don't run it to the left side. That never works, right? Go in between the tackles. I think that's how what you need to do to go about it. In the best way possible. And then, people are saying that Trey Wilson was open on that play on that 3rd down. He really wasn't. The guy fell. The defensive back fell right at the end there, and DJ was already getting wrapped up by that point. And then, of course, the second interception, like we mentioned earlier, was a bunch of hitch routes. Napier's been doing that since he got here. That's his 3rd down play that he calls all the time. They go right to the sticks and do a hitch route. And, if you do that once, twice a year, that's one thing. But he does it every single game. And if you're a defender, all you got to do is, okay, we know what they're going to do. They're going to do a hitch. You know what I mean? And so you're going to play aggressive if you study film. These guys studied film. We talked about it going into the game, EJ. This is a defense that's a ball hawk defense, right? I think they had more interceptions than they let up passing touchdowns this year as a team. And so we talked about that. They have 9 interceptions, I believe, going into this one. We have to be careful and not do these these same plays that we run all the time. And guess what? We ran a play that we do all the time, and the Mississippi State defense did a really good job. Secondary did a great job of once again watching film and applying that in the game. So yeah, just very frustrating there, and really a play call issue on a couple of those big decisions there. And just not a great called game, allowing Mississippi State to really come back. And like you said, was supposed to be like the USF game where all they had to do was go for a field goal to win it. And Jeff Lebby, I get why I'm running the ball in that situation personally if I'm Jeff Lebby, but at the same time, they just did 60 yards of just throwing at that point, and it was wide open passes every single time. And so they kind of went for the home run ball, tried to get him on the slant. That was a big mistake. So yeah, I personally would have ran it there, give my kicker a shot there in the swamp. Yeah, so that's kind of my feeling on this offense. DJ had a decent game. He definitely looks a lot better than what he did at the beginning of the year. But still, just footwork. There's just a lot we have to work on there and get better at. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the Gator offense. Is there anything else, EJ, you want to touch on before we move on?
I guess we can just reminisce on, this is the last time that we're going to see a Billy Napier called game, which I think most Gator fans are really, really happy about. Um, I think from a culture and from a talent infusion standpoint, it's clear he's brought in some good talent, some playmakers. It's clear that they all really like him, and it's a great culture fit. But the main issue with Billy Napier, and the reason why he's no longer here, at least from my standpoint, is he is not a very good strategist, big picture. And so when you're the CEO, what is the main goal that you have? No matter what organization you're running, it's what's your strategy for being better than the competition? That is your number one goal that you have to pretty much develop. And with Billy Napier, it's like he's in tunnel vision. It's almost like imagine opening up a retail store and you're the founder, you're the CEO, and other people keep telling you, hey, this is what you need to do so that more people will buy your products. And you say, no, I've got it all in my head. I'm the one that knows exactly what everyone wants, and no one, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do that's in my head. Okay, then what happens 3 years later? You go out of business because you're a complete moron that refused to listen to the voice of the customer, and you thought that you knew what was best for the customers. You failed to actually look at what your competitors are doing. And when you look at Billy Napier, that's exactly what he's done with this team. He never adapted the football team, the offensive strategy to be successful against the competition. And it seems like a lot of these players have regressed. I've said before, I don't believe in regression. I believe that, meaning that I don't believe that DJ Lagway necessarily got worse or any of our players, Eugene Wilson necessarily got worse. I just believe that the teams that we're playing got better faster than we did. They went back and studied all the film, and Billy Napier didn't evolve and adapt and develop these players to get better based on where they were. They're the same players, and that just will not work as you're moving through time trying to get better and better and better than your competition. And we're in a world right now where a lot of things are a lot more even. If this was 2012, 2010, you're looking up and you're seeing Alabama and you're maybe a couple other teams, you're like, ain't nobody beating those teams. Today it's wide open. Like Ohio State's number one, but they're not this invincible juggernaut. So um he never really adapted this offense. It's the same slow paced. Don't know how many players should be on the field. People don't know that people are on the same page. No feel for the throwing and passing game. No clue when to run it, when to throw it. And that just caught up with him. So hopefully we'll see differences as we move forward, but that's sort of the legacy of Billy Napier. And hopefully, the $20 million is going to be great for him. It will be really hard for me to see him getting a major job. He said he was quote unquote built for this. Maybe he'll get, another group of five. There's probably a lot of group of five teams that would love to hire Billy Napier. He probably would be great in those roles.
Oh yeah.
But I think with this performance at Florida, he definitely tarnished his reputation enough to where he's going to need a rehab job before he can get back into coaching into the big leagues.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You're definitely going to see him probably go back to the Sun Belt, and I don't know if Louisiana how they're doing, but I'm sure they would definitely accept him right back.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm definitely interested in that aspect. Speaking of if stuff's going to change, let's go ahead and talk about some of the changes, man. Billy Gonzalez is now the interim head coach for the Florida Gators. He was the wide receiver coach under three three coaching staffs, whether it's Billy Napier, Dan Mullen, and of course the Urban Meyer staff as well. So he knows what it takes to win championships at the University of Florida. His press conference was really great. You know what I mean? He did his little speech that was memorized and that he wrote down and stuff. But even answering the questions, you could tell that he knows what the Gator standard is. And I think Billy Napier, one thing we can say about him, and we'll move on from all the Billy Napier talks, but last time we mentioned him. But one thing he did do really well is he brought the standard back when it came to, making these kids play for that logo, right? These guys want to rep their school. These are not just, he didn't hit the transfer portal hard, but he built a really good culture here. And so we do have to respect that. You just couldn't get it done on the field. And so I feel like, we see that in Billy Gonzalez as well. He talked about playing for the patch. Now these guys who really want it. And I think he's also a big part on why this culture, is the way it is right now at the University of Florida and their football team. Definitely very, very exciting. It's a good choice. I think Jaluke probably would have got it if he didn't slap the LSU player, but it's good to have Billy Gonzalez up there, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, a lot of people were thinking that Russ Callaway was going to go up and be the new play caller because he is the offensive coordinator. That didn't happen. Billy Gonzalez came up and said the quarterback coach, Ryan O'Hara, is going to take play calling for the Florida Gators for the rest of the season. He said the reason is because, him and DJ Lagway work very close, him being the quarterback coach for DJ. A lot of people, were kind of taken aback by this, and one thing I will say is that he did coach and call plays for the Orange team in the spring game.
Yeah.
The Orange team's the one that Dallas Wilson was on, and he had the 199, receiving yards. Russ Callaway called plays for the Blue team. Blue team did not look like the Orange team. And so that is kind of a good sign, right? Hopefully there is something here. Billy Gonzalez also talks about opening the playbook up and spreading the field and getting it to playmakers. He put there's a lot of nuanced, I don't want to say stabs at Billy, but definitely a lot of nuanced, hey, we're not going to do this. We're going to do our own thing. You know what I mean? So what should the expectations be? I don't think the offense is going to look totally different, but I do think you're going to see the ball spread out a little bit more. I think you're going to see, us getting the ball in playmakers' hands. I think you're going to see a lot more empty 5 wide, maybe not 5 wide receivers, but you're going to see 3 receivers. You're going to see maybe even 4 receivers, you know what I mean, on a lot of different points. And you should when you have this talented of a receiving core. We talked about this, EJ. So expect 3 receivers on the field quite a bit going forward. And I think that's going to be really nice and open up a lot, especially since you have Dallas Wilson, VB3, Mizell. You have these weapons that you can get the ball to. Sertivan, of course, as well. And hopefully we see, as much as we love Hayden Hansen, he's a solid tight end. He does not need to be in wide set. It just doesn't make any sense when he's not that athletic. So we'll see what this looks like going forward. People, like I said, another thing about Russ Callaway and Ryan O'Hara, neither one of them have really called plays, I don't think, ever. I think Ryan O'Hara might have. I believe he went to, oh my God, was it Alabama State or something? I don't know what it was. He was someplace, and they got fired. So, neither of these guys have play calling experience, which just shows it. It's interesting, right, EJ? Like, did Billy Napier do that on purpose? Did he want some guys that didn't, that haven't really called plays a lot as the offensive coordinator and as the co-OC? I'm just saying, I think that's kind of interesting there. I think he really wanted to call plays so bad to where he didn't want to get guys that had experience before, so the fan base wouldn't be asking and calling for them. So that's just an interesting fact there. Because even when Russ Callaway was at Samford, guess what? All right, yeah, Samford, he didn't call plays at Samford. Apparently the head coach did, similar to Billy Napier. So Russ Callaway doesn't have play calling experience. So just something to think about. So I think this was a good choice here, even though I wasn't fully on it. I wanted Russ Callaway, but the more I looked into it, I'm pretty happy with it. So EJ, how do you feel about that before we move on to the coaching selections?
Yeah, the more and more I think about, Billy Gonzalez being the interim coach, the better I feel about it, because at first I was kind of like, maybe Jaluk, is the associate head coach. Technically, he should be, but with the suspension and then you think about Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator, the oldest, most experienced overall, and the defense has been playing well, so maybe he would have got it. But the more I think about Billy Gonzalez, the better I feel, because he was the wide receivers coach under Urban Meyer and Dan Mullen. Probably the 2 most successful offensive coaches that we've had since Steve Spurrier. And he was instrumental in the recruitment of some of our best receivers that have ever played at UF. And so when I think about Billy Gonzalez's philosophy with Urban Meyer and Dan Mullen offensively, it is spread the ball out and throw the freaking ball to guys who can make people miss and take it to the house. We're not going to do this slow developing bunch formation where you can just put 10 guys right over the bunch and then, it's kind of like no one's open and we get instant sacked. So I really think Billy Gonzalez is going to do a great job. And at the end of the day, Ryan O'Hara doesn't have to be this genius play caller. You just have to be a 5-year old on NCAA. Okay? Because that is literally better than what freaking Billy Napier was doing. Just ask Corso, like the game tells you to do. You can ask Corso and he can tell you what play to run. Those are 10 times out of 10 better than what Billy Napier is going to come up with. So the interesting thing is going to be from an offensive attack standpoint, why have teams like UCLA and who was the other team that fired their coach and now they look unstoppable? Uh, you know, why are these teams mixing up? Well, because when you're now having to play these teams that have interim coaches, the team is now, hey, I want all the players are like, hey, we're getting a new coach. I might need to transfer. I need to really step it up and play my best because I don't know what my future holds. I want to put on film that I came and played as hard as I could. That's number one. Number two, you have no film on what the philosophy on these offenses are. And so when the UCLA coach got out, the interim coach got out there, he was like, "Look, uh, one thing I know about Imaliava, you can't really throw, but you can run. So guess what? We Lamar Jackson out here, and Penn State couldn't stop this guy. So Billy Gonzalez, Ryan O'Hara, Russ Callaway, they all know what the strengths of DJ Lagway and these receivers and Jaden Ball and the offensive, they all know what that is. I'm very interested to see what their opinion of the attack should be. And that's something that in a couple of weeks, the only film Georgia has is what Billy Napier was designing. So we can come out and completely surprise them and give them something they have no idea what we're about to get out there and do. So, hey, maybe that's worth a couple, one or two more touchdowns than we otherwise would have scored. And if we have our defense healthy, maybe a couple guys come back, we can see if we can put up a big fight against them. So I'm really happy about that. So we'll see what happens. The defense with Ron Roberts, I'm perfectly fine with. I think he does a really good job of making adjustments. And he's doing the best that he can with what he has. So there you go.
All right, there we go, man. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into our coaching list here, EJ. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I really want us to just talk about our list. But you did give us just a quick thing we can look at. If we go here, and then if we go over to this, 1 second, boom, boom. All right, this Excel sheet here. Man, it's a little small on the screen, but you guys can zoom in.
Can you zoom in? Can you
I don't know if I can do it.
Usually in the bottom right, you can like make it a little bit bigger.
Oh my God, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, cool. All right, sweet. So, EJ, if you just want to go through real quick and talk about it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Most Gator fans, you're not going to make everybody happy with this coaching search. So what I did was I said, okay, let's pull the top 20 coaches in America who have at least 5 years of head coaching experience, because people say we want a proven winner. Okay, well, you have to be doing it for at least a good 3 or 4 years. What is the winning percentage of these coaches? And so that's this top 20 list. And ironically, only 2 names on this list are guys that we are actually considering for the job in terms of odds. And so when you look at this, Ryan Day is number 1. He's been a head coach for 7 seasons, 88% win percentage. And remember, guys, Ohio State's lost to Michigan 4 years in a row. Thanksgiving last year when they got beat by Michigan, You go to the Ohio State boards, it was fire Day, fire Day, fire Ryan Day. This is the definitively, empirically best coach in the country right now. Now, I do think that, Urban Meyer set him up for a lot of success, and that has a lot to do with it. But 7 years later, he's maintained a near 90% winning percentage and a national championship. Hasn't beaten Michigan, but oh well. Kirby Smart's number 2. Kirk Cignetti's number 3. We're not getting any of the top 3 coaches, guys. So you say, oh, well, we want a proven winner. And the guy that we're targeting is number 9. He's been a head coach for 13 years, Lane Kiffin. He's number 1 on everybody's list. 68% winning percentage, 13 years, no championships though. And then below this top 20 list are guys that are on the Florida hot board for potential coaching candidates. Their years of experience as a head coach, all of them at least have 3 years of experience, which is important because remember, when we hired our 2 most successful coaches that we've hired at Florida, Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier. Spurrier was only a head coach for 3 years at Duke before he got hired, but he at least had 3 years of experience. Okay, he was a head coach for 3 years. Will Muschamp was never a head coach, so they just brought him out the woodworks. Urban Meyer was a head coach for 4 years. Okay, so you're talking about bringing in guys who have some experience. Now, Billy Napier was also a head coach for 4 years, but when you look at Ron Zook, I don't believe Ron Zook was ever a head coach. He was like the special teams coach or whatever it was. Dan Mullen, I believe, was a head coach for 9 years. He had a lot of great experience as a head coach and as offensive coordinator for Urban Meyer. And Jim McElwain, I believe, was a coach he had 3 years of head coaching experience. So you want somebody with at least 3, 4 years of really good, high quality head coaching experience to prove that they can come in and they understand what it takes to be a head coach. I don't think we're going to go and grab someone who's just become a head coach or has 0 years of a head coaching experience. So that was the intent of looking at this list, so that we can take a look at, what are all these guys doing and are they winning? And when you look at some of these winning percentages, what is it really going to take? Oh, here's the other thing, really quick. Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier both had 82% around, if you round, 82% winning percentage when they were at Florida. Okay. Kirby Smart's at 85, Ryan Day's at 88. So the question's going to be, if you bring in this new head coach, 80% wins is what the fan base wants. So none of these coaches are hitting 80%, anywhere near 80% wins right now. You're banking on a hope and a prayer that when you bring them in, they are going to get to that level at Florida. So that's another thing that, we got to point out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, let's we don't have too much time here, so let's go ahead and just do our list while we're here, man. EJ, I'll let you go first. We just give me your 4 and then your honorable mention.
All right, so I'll start with number 4, and then I'll go up. Well, should I start? What do you think we should do? Should we start with like number 1?
We both have the same number 1, so we can start with number 1.
All right, let's start with number 1 is definitely Lane Kiffin. He's everyone's number 1. He's my number 1. Hopefully, Ole Miss screws it up and doesn't give him the extension. But why is Lane Kiffin number 1? He's an offensive mastermind, and if he's the head coach at Florida, very similar to how Dan Mullen came over from Mississippi State, which is a similar, they're rivals, Mississippi State, Mississippi. Lane Kiffin is more suited to the Florida role because of his personality and because of his overall innate desire to want to be the best. A lot of people that are coming out and saying, well, he wants to stay at Ole Miss. Why would he leave Ole Miss to go to Florida? They'll name the Oxford after Kiffin if he wants to. I agree. But the reality is, does he want to just coast, or is this an individual who wants change and challenge? And Lane Kiffin has always come across as somebody who likes change and who wants a challenge. And he wants to be known as somebody who is great. Now, I'm not saying that he can't achieve that at Ole Miss, but going to Florida is something different. And when you're a high performer, you're always looking for something different. And Florida, to me, is probably like that perfect school for a guy like Lane Kiffin, where he can come in. He's not as devoted to recruiting as he is to the portal, but Florida, I don't think we've had lower than a top 15 recruiting class, even with the last 6 coaches that we've had. So he can probably get a top 10 class by default, couple that with transfer portal, he would be very successful at Florida. So he's my number 1. My number 2 is a guy that I think we just throw the bag and just see what the heck happens, and that's Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Now, a lot of people say, well, you can't get Marcus Freeman. He'll never leave Notre Dame. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe he'll never leave Notre Dame. But the guy was in the national championship last year. He will undoubtedly have top 3 recruiting classes if he came to Florida. I personally like his offensive style, power football. Now his philosophy on the quarterback position is to just get whoever the top quarterback in the portal is. You got Sam Hartman, he got the guy from Duke. But his quarterbacks typically play very well, and he's a defensive minded guy. So I think if he gets a offensive coordinator and maintains his defensive prowess, I think Marcus Freeman would be an exceptional coach. But he's a guy that's a sort of a pipe dream type hire. Throw the bag at him, see if he'll want to come. Who knows? Maybe he will. My number 3. All right. Rhett Lashley, the coach at SMU. Now, here's the deal. People, you can't have him. He doesn't want to come here. Listen, the guy had two ball boys and a laptop and was 11-1 last year. Okay? Because you know why? He's embraced offense. He's young. He's energetic. He understands modern college football. And I think this guy could really develop an offense that will mirror the fun and gun and the type of offensive style that Gator fans want to see. All right. So that's my number 3. Now, my number 4 is going to be very controversial because a lot of people are going to say, you can't have him. He's a loser. And that's James Franklin at Penn State. Now, people are going to say they don't want James Franklin because he doesn't win the big games. He loses to Ohio State every year. Okay, people, I just showed you the top 10 coaches in the nation. Okay? He's number 8. He's won 68.7% of his games as a head coach. Okay? If he came to Florida, I honestly think he would jump recruiting into the top 5. So by default, we're more talented than the teams that we got to go out there and play. So by default, he doesn't even really need to be that much better of a coach. I think he will come in and establish a great culture, exceptional talent. The in-game coaching is really what is going to define whether or not he would be successful here. Oh, and by the way, we don't have to pay that much money to get him because he's free, and we can spend all that money on NIL to help him out even more. And I refuse to believe that if he came here, we'd win any less than 8 or 9 games a year. I think he's a solid coach. So that's my number 4. Now, honorable mention. So I went back and forth with this one because, there's a lot of great guys that are out there. Eli Drinkowitz at Missouri, I just don't see him personally. Jed Fish at Washington, barely a 50% winning percentage right now. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, former, FSU coordinator. I think he's all great. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. Believe it or not, he's 14 and 26 as a head coach. So I don't think you want someone who's
Well,
worse than Napier.
also Pavia is carrying him in my opinion. I got to see him without Pavia at quarterback. We haven't seen that
At
yet.
100%. Pavia is the man right now. But now I thought DJ Lagway was going to carry Napier, but he screwed that up. So at least Lee isn't screwing up the whole Pavia thing. So there you go. Now I'm going to go with Jeff Brom at Louisville as my honorable mention. Now, he's a 60% win percentage. He's been a head coach for 10 years. Um, I don't know. I just saw that game against Miami. The guy's cool, calm, collected. Does not have elite talent on the offensive end, but his teams are very well coached. He went out and got the guy from USC, the quarterback.
Miller Moss.
Is has a really solid, smart offensive attack. I think he'd have to work on building talent at in Florida, his recruiting, learning from these guys who know how to just go into the house and bring in that top 10 recruit. But if Jeff Brom was the head coach at Florida, I have no doubt that this guy would be able to put together a really good team every single year that could get out there and win games. And one more thing about Franklin, because I know people go, he doesn't win the big games. Well, at least he's in a big game. Okay? How are you in a big game? Both teams have to be good for it to be a big game. Okay? So, no, you're not beating Ohio State because they're number one and they've got 63 4 and 5-star players and you only have 40. Okay? So, yeah, they're going to beat you. But if you get it to where you can make that a little bit even, and then you go out there and lose. And the other thing, Drew Aller. If Drew Aller was a little bit better than what he was, they probably would have won the championship last year. So, who knows? So, that's what I had to say about that. Kiffin, Freeman, Lashley, Franklin, Brom. That's my top 5.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, my number one's going to be Lane Kiffin. I think that's obviously everyone's number one man. I mean, he's a 112, 53, 67% winning percentage on 14 years of being a head coach. So a lot of experience there. Out of those 14 years, he has 6 10-win seasons with not becoming bowl eligible only 3 times, with one of those being like the 2 and 3 year at USC when they fired him. So just a guy who's very, very consistent. Averages the 17th best offense every single year at Ole Miss, not counting the 2025 season going on right now. 2024 being the number 3 in the country. So, even though it's 17 on average, he's getting better every single year. And so you got to acknowledge that. Also, he's doing that with not great defenses. That's something to think about. He just hasn't had, obviously last year they had a really solid defense. Go before that, though. And that's why his offense was so good, right? Because he had something to kind of rely on a little bit.
Yeah.
And the years previous, he didn't have that. And he still had a top 25 defense usually, or offense, usually there. So a guy who kind of has a card stacked against him is still getting stuff done. Obviously, has the transfer portal very well, gets great talent at Ole Miss. Imagine what that man can do in the state of Florida. Him being at FAU for 4 years, I believe. He has a lot of connections there. Maybe even at IMG. That's really important to see. The big negative with him is the fact that, he hasn't really taken that step forward. Obviously, you're going to be held back a little bit at Ole Miss. It's not going to be that easy. People that say Ole Miss and Florida is a lateral move is insane to me. I think their revenue, the amount of money that they bring in is only like $5 million a year because they're dumping so much money into it. The Florida football program is bringing over something ridiculous. I think we're averaging like $300 million in profit.
Well, first of all, Ole Miss is a negative operating margin for football.
There you go.
Okay.
So that's the whole athletic.
So
that's crazy.
They're spending more money than they're bringing in. And Florida, I think, is like positive 20 million. So there you go.
I must have been looking at the entire athletic administration then, but yeah, no, it's pretty unreal. You can't compare those two schools at all. Someone made a great point. You can go to Ole Miss and win a national championship, maybe, but you can go to Florida and build a dynasty, even in this field. And so that's the best way to look at it. And yeah, so I think he's a really good fit for Florida. Visor, big fan of Spurrier. I think it's the way to go. So Lane Kiffin's my number 1. My number 2 is going to be Jeff Brom. I know that's kind of early on. You're probably like, well, what the hell are you talking about? I think it's Lane Kiffin or nothing for me, but I think he's my number 2. Why? I love watching his offenses, man. Not only is he a great offensive mind and has done a great job, whether it's at Western Kentucky, Purdue, or now at Louisville, but he's a great offensive mind, great recruiter. I believe top 16 transfer portal class every single year he's been at Louisville, mixed with a top 25 recruiting class every single year at Louisville, and that's at Louisville. That's hard. That's hard to get guys to go there. This guy can recruit very well. And yeah, just trick plays. An air raid offense, loves to throw the ball down the field. So he's so much fun to watch. Also wins big games. I think he has good talent for Louisville, but I think the lack of talent going up against teams like Miami and Florida State over the past few years has obviously hurt him a little bit. But he wins these big games and has upsets. Obviously, very recently had a really big upset. So this is a guy who isn't scared of being on the big stage. Now, the question is, can he do that week to week in the SEC, right? We don't really know that. A big thing that you're relying on with James Franklin is the fact that he did that at Vanderbilt, right? So that's the problem with Jeff Brown, is he hasn't proven that at the SEC level. But man, do I love him. I think he has a big upside. He can be average with the Florida Gators for sure. But man, I just love him. I didn't put Marcus Freeman in there. I don't think Marcus Freeman is going to come from Notre Dame, honestly. I think he's going to say no, but I do respect that choice. I think he would be probably my number 3. But my number 3, I don't like it, and I'm going to get why he's this high, but I'm not a fan of it. I have Eli Drinkwitz. I don't like that he's this high up. 56 and 26, that's a 68% winning percentage. I don't like it. He does have 7 years of coaching experience and has been at multiple programs that he's built up. Now, that's a big reason why I have him above these guys, whether that's Rhett Lashley or Fran Brown or Killing Dillingham. The reason I have him that high and above them is because he has more years. He doesn't only have 2 years of coaching experience. He has 7 years. He's been at multiple different programs. That's a big thing for me, right? Because I also love Jed Fish. I think he's great. Problem with him is he hasn't built up 2 programs yet. I need to see a guy's consistent at multiple stops. And we just haven't seen that with some of these other guys, and specifically with Jed. I think if Jed had another year at Washington, I think he is building up a program there since he had to restart. But that's why I have Eli up here. I mean, look, he gave up play calling when stuff wasn't going great at Missouri early on, so you do got to really respect that, right? He's a team guy. You talk to different people that have, been under him and that have coached with him. He knows how to build a culture. We've seen that. He also knows how to adapt his offenses around his personnel. We've seen that, specifically at Missouri, and brings in decent talent. He's a decent recruiter there at Missouri, and so, you got to respect that. And I think if he could do that there, he can do it here. Problem with him is he has had some down years. He hasn't really won any major games on a consistent basis. And he's a weird guy, just a very weird personality. He's a strange dude. So that's I don't know if he'd be a great culture fit, but man, he's already killing it in the SEC with the talent that he has, with the cards he's being dealt. Imagine if he was with the Florida Gators. So that's why he's going to be my number 3. Now, here's where it gets a little iffy, all right? I didn't really know where to go next. I love Fran Brown. My problem with him is he's only been a head coach for a couple years now, but God, he's a great recruiter. He has experience in the SEC, has great offenses, so I can't pick him. Brent Key, I don't know. My big thing with him is he just doesn't, I don't know, he just hasn't had that big impact on Georgia. I mean, this year is going good, but he's a guy that just wins a lot of close games. I'm not a big fan of that. I like guys that try to put it away. Jeff Brom is a guy, and Eli's a guy that when they get the opportunity, they like to put games away. I'm going to go with Kenny Dillingham. I don't, once again, love this. I think you're getting a drop off a pretty big pedestal with every single pick that I'm giving here. But I do like Kenny Dillingham. I mean, look, he came in, was an OC for a pretty good, time. Did a great job at Oregon. Did a good job at Florida State, comes in here to Arizona State. A young guy. That's what I really like about him. A young dude, 19-14 as a head coach, but that is counting a 1-11 years first year at Arizona State. I think that was 3-9. My bad. Did have a bounce back though. Obviously took them to the college football playoff. Should have beat Texas honestly in that game. So a guy that is recruiting decently there. My problem with him is he's an ASU alum. I don't think he's gonna leave Arizona State. I mean, if we drop a big enough bag, I do think he will. But I think he's a good offensive mind, a guy that has done a really good job, adapting his scheme around his personnel. There's been years where he's thrown the ball a lot. There's been years when he's run the ball a lot with guys like Scadaboo, right? Had a great offense at Oregon as well. A guy that has done a really good job early on, a young guy with a lot of fire, and a guy that has been in the state of Florida. So that's another big thing there. Honorable mentions where it gets a little iffy, okay? Because I really like Rhett Lashley because even though he hasn't had too many years at the head coaching helm, one thing that I do like about him is he has the most offensive coordinating experience out of any of these other guys that I like. And so he's been an offensive coordinator for like 12 years or like 10 years before going to SMU. So he's a big one. I'm also looking at Jedd Fisch. What I love about Jedd Fisch is the fact that he's a big offensive guy, has built up 2 programs, built up Arizona really well. I think he's the guy that had the 1-11 years first year, bounced back, dominated that 1 year with Arizona, then goes to Washington, went to a Washington team that there was no one there, right? It was like a skeleton that Kalen DeBoer left behind, brought everyone with them and all the players with them, and players went to the NFL, and he's done a pretty good job rebuilding that program up. They have a couple of big tests here, coming up these next few weeks. But I mean, and what I love about him too is the fact that he coached under Spurrier for a little bit and has a good relationship there, and is once again a Florida Gator at heart. Loves to throw the ball down the field. I feel like out of Rhett Lashley and Jedd Fisch, you have to go with Rhett Lashley. I feel like he's just proved a little bit more. Even though I feel like Jedd Fisch is doing a really good job, Rhett Lashley's just had some better offenses as well, more consistency with his offenses. So I'm going to go with Rhett Lashley, a guy that's had a lot of offensive coordinating experience, has done a great job every single place he's been, has obviously done a great job with SMU, even with talent leaving, talent coming, going in and out, has done a really good job keeping that group together. Rhett Lashley is definitely going to be my honorable mention there. So that's going to be my list. Like I said, Lane Kiffin, Jeff Brom, Eli Drinkwitz, Kenny Dillingham, and Rhett Lashley. Jedd Fisch is up there a little bit too. There's some other great guys you can get, some great coordinators you can get, but I think the Gators are really tired of having to, go for these guys that might work, might not work. They want to go for these splash hires. I think for me, it's Lane Kiffin, nothing, but I would not mind Jeff Brom. I think he would be a really fun offense to see in Gainesville. After that, a big drop for the Gators. So that's my list. That's going to be EJ's list. You guys let us know who you want as the head coach of the Florida Gators, man. We're not going to know for a while, but man, it's going to be fun to speculate leading up to the end of the season. So, will be fun. Will be fun.
All right. I like your list.
Yes, sir. No James Fry. I don't listen. He's done well in the SEC. I just feel like all the talent that he had at Penn State still couldn't get it done. He has 2 of the best coordinators in the country. He still can't get it done. I don't know. That's why I'm not a big James Franklin guy personally, but I do understand your point for sure. He's a safe option.
I think James Franklin will be a major head coach at some program next year. I'm probably going to say Florida State if they decide to get rid of Norvell, because after you pay $100 million to get rid of Norvell, you don't want to pay another $50 million to get a new coach. And I think if Franklin went to Florida State, they would be immediately materially better, just overnight. And if we're going to have to play against them, maybe it'll come true where he doesn't win any big games and we're able to beat them. But I just think when you get tagged as, you can't win these big games, no one can win the big games until you actually do. So there you go. And also, I will say this. Y'all remember like 3 years ago, like Matt Campbell was always on the list for, Matt Campbell, he's all, because, he's at Iowa State. They were doing pretty good. Stoops at Kentucky, the same thing.
Ugh.
Here's the thing. Stoops was like a done deal, like last year to Texas A&M, remember? And then like he pulled out. Now, why did he pull out? And I'm connecting this to Lane Kiffin. He pulled out because he thought to himself, you know what? If I go to Texas A&M, there's actually pressure that I'd have to win games. And yeah, they're going to pay me a lot more money, but it's not about the money. It's about wellness and work-life balance. Okay. Now, you overstay your welcome because at the end of the day, if you suck now in your head coaching job, Kentucky fans are not going to put up with that. And you could have left and made a significant amount of money. And then if they fired you, guess what? You get $50 million. Matt Campbell, the same thing. He's past his prime. No one wants him anymore. So I say that to say all these coaches, like Lane Kiffin, who's our number one, people say he wants to stay. He doesn't want to stay at Ole Miss and just be an 8-9 win person every year. He wants to be known as the best of the best. And that's it. So that's why I think we got a chance to get him. Let's see if they pull off a extension with him. Um, I doubt it because Jimmy Sexton is involved, and Jimmy Sexton's going to do what his client wants, and he's going to protect Lane Kiffin from that standpoint. So there you go.
All right, let's see what the Gators do. I have a feeling that we're not going to get Lane, though. I feel like he's going to ask for way too much, but we will definitely see. All right, there you guys go, man. EJ, I know you got to go, so we will not do the Week 9 picks.
I got 5 more minutes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let's just run through them real quick. We'll make these very, very fast. All right, let's go ahead and start. We have number 25, Michigan, favored by 13.5 at Michigan State. We're going to pick the spread here.
Oh, we're picking the spread. Okay. So I'm gonna go. It's a closer game than was it 14?
13.5.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go Michigan State. Wait a minute. No, Michigan. Michigan straight up and against the spread.
I respect it. There you go. Michigan. I'm going Michigan as well. Michigan State just had too many hard games in a row now. Next, we got UCLA at number 2, Indiana. Indiana favored by 25.5. We're picking the spread here.
I'm gonna go UCLA. I think it'll be a 24-point win for Indiana, not 26.
I agree. I'm thinking 21, 23-point win. 25 is insane. Next one, we have Minnesota at Iowa. Iowa favored by 8.5. We're going to pick the spread here.
Let me go Minnesota against the spread. Iowa always plays these close games.
I like it. I'm doing the same thing. Iowa's been playing really, really good recently. I love their quarterback. He's mobile. He can throw the ball. They have an offense, kind of, finally. But I think Minnesota's going to keep it close, man. I like Minnesota as well. Next one, we have North Carolina State at Pitt. Pitt favored by 6.5.
Ooh, okay. Give me Pitt straight up. NC State against the spread. Wait, this is a straight up game?
Straight up, yeah.
Yeah, give me Pitt to win straight up then at home.
I agree. Pitt has a lot of momentum right now. I think they're going to keep it up. Next one, we have Baylor at Cincinnati. Cincinnati favored by 4.5.
I like the Bearcats at home. Baylor has been struggling a little bit in Big 12 and going on the road to Cincinnati. Maybe it'll be a little too cool for them up there.
Yeah, I'm going to go Baylor here. I'm going with a little bit of an upset. I like this Baylor team. I think Cincinnati's they've had a weird schedule. I don't think they're ready for this. I have Baylor getting the dub here, man. They kept every game pretty close usually. Next one we have number 23, Illinois at Washington. Washington favored by 4.5.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go Washington upset here. Jeb Fish is trying to audition for the Gator job. And Illinois, they're a solid team, but I could easily pick them, but I'm just gonna pick Washington in the upset.
No, I agree. I'm a little biased, so I'm gonna pick Washington as well. I love Jeb Fish. I think also too they're gonna bounce back after that Michigan loss. Number 11, BYU at Iowa State. Iowa State favored by 2.5. A lot of teams that are ranked going on the road here.
Yes. Give me Iowa State favored by 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. BYU Cougars winning it.
Yeah, I picked against BYU last week. That didn't do me well. But Iowa State is a good little team. They've had 2 losses in a row though, so I'm gonna pick BYU as well. Next one we have USF number 18 USF 5.5 favored by 5.5 at Memphis. It's gonna be a good little game.
Ooh, Memphis is a pretty good little team. I think USF is on a mission here, um, to be the best group of 5 team and get to the playoff as that number 12 seed. It's funny they keep winning, but they're not moving up in the polls because they don't want to move them up too quick. Bulls.
I respect it. I'm gonna go Memphis here. I think USF has kind of looked. I don't know. There's ways to beat them. I think Memphis is gonna figure it out and get the dub there. Next one we have Ole Miss number 8 Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by 4.5.
Oh man.
Favored.
Oklahoma favorite against Ole Miss. So here's the thing. Oklahoma's got really good defense, but they didn't look like it against Texas. Okay. Now, the thing about Texas is Texas has got a much more overwhelming defense than Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got a little bit better of an offense. Um, dang. I'm gonna go Oklahoma upset here. Even though they're favored, I think is an upset based on the rankings. They're playing at home. Wait, is Mateer playing?
Yes.
Okay, so give me Oklahoma. Lane Kiffin is one more check mark that he's going to check out and want to come to Gainesville because he's going to think to himself, hey, if I was in Florida, I'd beat these Sooners.
I respect it. But I don't know. Mateer's been too inconsistent this season. I like this Ole Miss quarterback a little bit more. I'm gonna go Ole Miss here. I think it's gonna be a
Ooh,
shootout. And I think Ole
okay,
Miss
all
gets the
right,
win.
okay.
Next up, we have number 3 Texas A&M favored by 2.5 at number 20 LSU.
I think Texas A&M is going to go in there, even though their Texas A&M fans think we don't know what we're talking about. I think Texas A&M is going to go in there and roll all over them. So I'm going to go Aggies, big, 14 points, roll. Nussmeier's going to get ramshacked. But what's the guy's number 9 for Texas A&M?
Oh yeah,
He's
the
gonna
end.
he's gonna come around that corner like a freight train. Nussmeier's a sitting duck. Uh, Texas A&M, big on the
Yeah.
bayou.
I don't know, man. That's a scary pick. This game's gonna be a lot closer than people think. I think it's gonna be a 3-point game. Texas A&M wins it very, very late. I got Texas A&M winning.
Aggies, big. Everybody, big.
Yeah, we'll see. Next one we have number 15 Missouri at Vandy. Number 10 Vandy. Vanderbilt favored by 2.5. Can Vanderbilt be 8-1? I think they'll be 8-1, right? Jesus.
Ooh. All right. So this is a game where, you know, both teams are very fundamentally well coached. Okay. You're not going to have penalties and hands to the face. And even though that pass interference was ridiculous that they call this on Mississippi State, you're not going to have those silly little pass interference calls. At the end of the day, you ask yourself who's got the better quarterback, who's got the better defense. I think Vandy's got both. So I'm going to go Vandy in the upset. Well, no, they're favored.
They're favored, but
Vandy. You're going to win this one. You're the real black and gold team.
we're so used to saying Vandy in the upset, man. But really, they're favored, and they're the higher-ranked team.
I was like, wait, they're favored?
Yeah, no, Bo Prabula, I'm not a big fan of. I'm taking Pavia here. I think he's a better quarterback, and he's gonna be more consistent, and that's the reason I take Vandy. But man, I think it's gonna be a really fun game, and I think College Game Day will be there, baby. So let's go. Love to see it. So there you go. Our Week 8 results. I went 7-6. EJ went 9-4. So he's doing a lot better than me. All time that puts me at 48-32. EJ at 58-22. I think. Yeah. So we're 10 games off. So comeback season's not doing well for me. Hopefully, maybe new coaching change, new coaching thing, regime will help me out.
You need a new coaching change, exactly.
I definitely do. So we're gonna evaluate. But anyways, we love you guys, man. We appreciate y'all, man. It's gonna be a great week of college football. We'll be back next week with the Georgia game, man. Hopefully, if we get any new news, we'll definitely let you guys know. Follow us on our Instagrams. See you soon, baby. Go Gators.
Go Gators. See you, everybody.